Dark Ages is finally here, and for those of us who wanted the prequel saga of the Slayer, it's playable, it's brutal, and it's damn glorious. I've already torn through half the campaign in early access, and yes, I'll share my thoughts on the game itself soon. But first, let's talk about the surrounding firestorm. Because this game's release isn't just a launch, it's a battlefield. From corporate betrayal with its fake physical disc, to a massive boycott campaign, to the press already dragging it through the mud. If you were one of the loyal fans who pre-ordered the collector's edition, thinking you were buying a real game disc, you've been duped. The physical disc is nothing more than an 85 megabyte authenticator. That's right, megabytes, not gigabytes. The actual game is 85 gigabytes. The disc is basically a glorified key. No game on it, just a launcher to install it digitally. You now must connect to the internet at all times just to play a single-player game. 22 campaign missions. No multiplayer. And yet, it needs an always online connection. That's not just ridiculous, it's hostile to the player. And of course, this move triggered a massive backlash. News sites like Pure Xbox are already reporting mass pre-order cancellations. Players are furious. Twitter account Does It Play said it best: the pre-order cancellations are disproportionate. People aren't just mad, they're walking away, and they're not wrong. A collector's edition disc that's just a fake placeholder? No thanks. Gamers aren't stupid. They know when they're being sold a lie. But why would ID Software and Microsoft do this? Simple. It's about control. Always online means piracy dies. It means they own your game, not you. Microsoft gets to decide when and if you get to play. And if you think this trend stops here, you haven't been paying attention. Digital is now the norm, not the exception. And the companies are leaning into that future, hard. So when players say, "I canceled my pre-order," they're not just making a personal choice. They're making a statement. And one day the industry might finally listen. But here's the catch. Doom: The Dark Ages will sell anyway. Why? Because Microsoft owns it. And Microsoft doesn't care if you buy it or just download it on Game Pass. Most Xbox players won't spend a dime on this game because they don't have to. This is why Xbox is no longer seen as a profitable storefront. It's a subscription terminal and nothing more. Developers know it. Publishers know it. And slowly, even fans are realizing it. Ironically, Microsoft, the same company that ruined physical games, is currently the biggest publisher on PlayStation. Microsoft won without exclusives, because now their empire isn't built on loyalty, it's built on omnipresence. And that, my friends, is terrifyingly effective, because while the industry collapses under its own greed, the game itself, it's shockingly pure. Dark Ages is a rare creature, a game that dares to reject modern trends. No battle pass, no live service, no microtransactions. Just you, your weapons, and a hellish horde of demons. But it's not without controversy. The Dark Ages felt like something special, though, and that's why I had to make this video. It's a brutal reminder of what the gaming community used to have, and what the industry has stripped away. I'll dig into that later, but first, here's my review of Doom: The Dark Ages. Let's start with the story, don't worry. No spoilers here. Before the invasion of Mars and Earth, the Night Sentinels of Argent de Nur and their allies, the Makers, are in a brutal war with Hell. Hell wants the heart of Argent. The Doom Slayer, empowered by the Makers, is sent in to help tip the scales in humanity's favor. Now, is it some deeply emotional, layered narrative? Not really, but it doesn't need to be. It's the rule of cool, and it works. It's straightforward, easy to follow, and sets the stage for the action. The focus in the Dark Ages is still the gameplay, and that's where it shines. The gameplay feels heavily inspired by bullet hell games, dodging waves of projectiles constantly. But here's the twist. You can deflect or parry certain projectiles. When you parry, it fires the attack back at the enemy and stuns them, giving you a chance to deal massive damage. You can also parry regular melee attacks. Demons wind up their strikes, and if the attack flashes green, it's your signal to parry or deflect it. The green glow makes it easy to know what you can counter, but the shield isn't just for blocking. You'll use it a ton for traversal too. You can throw it and leap to it, bash through destructible walls, and even toss it into enemies to disable them. You rely on that shield a lot, probably more than you ever use the meat hook in Doom Eternal. Now, that's not going to appeal to everyone. If you don't like the shield mechanics, this game probably isn't for you. Personally, I loved it. It gives the Dark Ages a distinct identity, apart from 2016 and Eternal. Another change is that this game isn't really an arena shooter anymore. You're not stuck in loops of wave-based combat. Most areas, you'll move through once unless you're hunting secrets. It's more like classic Doom, where progression is linear but encourages exploration. And you want to explore because upgrades are tied to gold. You find scattered around the level. Hidden walls, shield bash spots, they're worth hunting for. The map helps by showing golden icons, so you get a hint at where secrets might be. One of the biggest controversies around the Dark Ages is the new adjustable difficulty sliders. For the first time, players can tweak things like enemy speed and projectile velocity, allowing for a much easier experience, even on the highest difficulty. Hardcore fans argue this undermines the challenge that defines Doom. But I see it differently. These sliders open the door for a larger demographic of gamers, people with difficulties, older players, or those just looking for a more relaxed experience. It's a smart, respectful addition. If you want a challenge, crank up the settings and suffer. But if someone else wants to enjoy the story and gameplay at their own pace, let them. It's a single-player game at its core. Another odd change is that the lowest difficulty level, once iconically known as I'm Too Young to Die, has been renamed to Aspiring Slayer. It's a small change, but for longtime players, it feels like another step away from the series' iconic legacy. On top of the main gameplay loop, there are two new types of sequences, dragon and mech sections. I actually enjoyed the dragon parts. Flying around, finding secret landing zones, chasing enemies through obstacles, that stuff felt cool. During dragon combat, you face off against enemies in a more stationary setting and dodge their attacks with directional inputs. Green attacks let you counter-dodge for a damage boost, and it feels satisfying. That said, I'm not sure how well the dragon parts will hold up on repeat playthroughs. As for the mech sections, less impressive. There's only a couple of them and they're short. Basically, you punch or dodge, and dodging boosts your damage. But even on Ultra Nightmare, the timing for those dodges was super lenient. Same as on the lowest difficulty. They take up like 4% of the game. So it's not a deal breaker, but they felt a bit too easy for me. Most of your time is still spent in standard Slayer gameplay, about 85%, with maybe 10% dragon and 5% mech. Some missions blend these really well. You'd clear an arena, hop on your dragon, fly to the next objective, clear that, and repeat. You could even choose the order and find secret zones along the way. It was awesome. Glory kills have been toned down significantly in this one. I'm kind of split on that. Some of the old glory kills were super fun, but the slower pace here makes the reduction feel justified. The mini glory kills still exist. You'll kick an enemy or smack them with your flail, but they're not as flashy. The soundtrack? Honestly, it's great. I know some people were bummed Mick Gordon didn't return, but the new team did a killer job. In the Dark Ages, the soundtrack takes a different path. It leans into dark medieval choirs, war drums, and industrial grit. It's still brutal, still fitting, but it lacks that signature punch, that raw, unfiltered aggression that made you feel unstoppable. Maybe it's the change in composer. Maybe it's the shift in tone. But while the music is good, sometimes great, it doesn't crawl under your skin the way it used to. Still, in this new age of shields, flails, and gothic chaos, sound holds its own. Just don't expect it to become a cultural weapon, the way Mick Gordon's tracks did. Visually, the game looks fantastic, arguably better than Eternal in 2016. My one complaint? Ray tracing is forced. I brought this up in a community post and got flack for it, but I stand by it. I get that it's the new industry standard and easier for devs, but I still prefer the buttery, smooth performance I got in Eternal. With Doom Eternal, ID Software perfected the chaotic ballet of modern FPS design, an ultra-fast, ultra-violent arena shooter, drenched in neon hellfire, metal architecture, and biomechanical horror. Every frame was overloaded with speed, clarity, and kinetic energy. The Dark Ages, the series descends into something older, darker, and more ancient. It's not just a prequel in terms of narrative, it's a complete visual reimagining of Hell and its Slayer, a gothic war opera forged in fire, steel, and the bones of fallen Titan. The Dark Ages places the Doomslayer at the heart of a dark, war-ravaged past, a time long before the clean technological lines of the UAC. The world isn't retro-futuristic anymore. It's a mythic battlefield carved from stone, iron, and flesh. But don't mistake this for a traditional medieval fantasy setting. This isn't dragons and knights. It's cathedrals turned into battlegrounds, blackened skies over infernal siege engines, gothic monoliths that bleed cybernetic tendrils. It's medieval, yes, but infused with industrial horror and ancient technology. The reason for this setting is both narrative and tonal. We are witnessing the original crucible that forged the Slayer's hatred. This is the era where legends are born, not through science, but through blood and suffering. It provides a primal backdrop to the mythos, allowing us to understand the Slayer's eternal war, not as a technological struggle, but as a divine reckoning that has spanned millennia. The Doomslayer's look in the Dark Ages is a brutal reinterpretation of his form. Gone is the sleek sci-fi armor of Eternal. In its place is a set of barbaric plate, weathered, spiked, and visibly aged by battle. His helmet is more gladiatorial. He is the ultimate weapon. He now wields a flail, a massive, crushing weapon that screams pain over precision. He's not just here to shoot, he's here to pulverize. And then there's the shield, a towering, high-tech bulwark that doubles as both defense and destruction. It can be thrown like a spinning buzzsaw, boomeranging through rows of demons before returning to the Slayer's gauntlet. This is combat as spectacle, blending classic medieval brutality with the high-impact flair that defines the franchise. This barbaric style emphasizes physical dominance over speed. The Slayer doesn't just outgun his enemies, he overpowers them like a mythic titan. One of the most striking changes in the Dark Ages is its complete overhaul of demon design. While Eternal featured grotesque biomechanical creatures, the Dark Ages gives these same abominations a gothic rebirth. Demons wear the age on their flesh. They look like they were pulled from cathedral ruins and fused with forgotten war machines. Everything has a more ritualistic feel. The demons look like they've crawled out of some forgotten religious manuscript, twisted icons of death and sin. Their armor, weapons, and forms reflect a society that builds not for efficiency, but for theatrical dominance. These are not lab-grown horrors. They are crafted, sculpted like nightmarish sculptures from some fallen Gothic civilization. The environments are drenched in atmosphere, towering Gothic castles, war-torn strongholds, bone-littered ruins, and vast siege battlefields. These aren't closed arenas built for rhythm-based gunplay. These are war zones, layered with verticality, destructible cover, siege engines, and hordes of demons flooding the field. The sky is often choked in ash. Flames glow from faraway catapults. Massive demons clash in the background. There's a constant sense that you're not just fighting through levels, you're fighting in the middle of a medieval apocalypse. Lighting plays a massive role. Torches flicker inside catacombs while hellfire erupts across night-black skies. The use of stained glass, religious motifs, and heavy stone architecture lends the entire game a sacrilegious majesty. Every location feels like a holy site, corrupted by infernal hands. While Eternal emphasized mobility, dashing, grappling, and juggling enemies in hyperfast arenas, the Dark Ages slows the pace slightly in favor of weight and impact. You're no longer an acrobat. You're a one-man siege engine. Combat now has a more tactical, warlike rhythm. Fights are more attritional, with enemies flanking and advancing in formation. The presence of massive battlefield scenarios, possibly involving ally forces or war machines, makes it feel like you're part of a larger war, not just a lone warrior in a vacuum. The addition of melee combat, especially with the flail and shield, deepens the visceral experience. Enemies are sent flying, crushed against walls, and shattered in bloody bursts of momentum. This makes kills feel heavier, more punishing, and more intimate. This isn't just a change in tone. It's a recontextualization of the Doom mythos. By pushing the visual style into a dark medieval past, ID Software is grounding the Slayer's legacy and legend. He's no longer a super soldier who got angry. He's a mythic executioner forged in the darkest era of history. The cybernetics still exist, some shields, some demonic implants, but they're sparse and mysterious, more akin to arcane relics than modern technology. It gives the sense that this world is ancient, but not primitive. This is a time when the line between technology and magic was blurred, when demons and machines were indistinguishable horrors. One of the biggest issues with Dark Ages is that it requires a constant online connection, even for single player. That means if your internet goes down, you don't play, period. On top of that, de novo anti-piracy is back, and it's just as intrusive as ever. It eats resources, limits modding, and locks the game behind DRM. You don't own the game, you're renting it until the servers say otherwise. For a series built on speed, freedom, and raw power, this kind of restriction feels like a betrayal. It's a big problem, and it's not one players are going to ignore. And of course, there's de novo, anti-piracy software that hurts performance. It's likely to be removed eventually, just like with Eternal, so if that bugs you, just wait it out. Outside of those two things, forced ray tracing and de novo, I don't have major complaints. Even the mech segments, which I was most critical of, were still fun the first time around. ID Software has already begun addressing some of the community's early concerns surrounding the Dark Ages. From the moment gameplay was revealed, fans had questions about the shift to medieval settings, the slower-paced combat, and especially the new accessibility features like difficulty sliders. The devs were quick to clarify that, while the tone and pace may differ from Doom Eternal, the game still delivers brutal, skill-based gameplay for hardcore fans, while also being more inclusive for players who want a different experience.
Doom, the woke ages. I've heard about this. I've seen the videos. Well, here's the thing about this. First of all, I don't agree with that. And really, when you think about options like the sliders, the policy was it has to be good both for the white belts and the black belts. You know, if we're going to allow you to slow the game down, we have to enable you to speed the game up. And that was a really good policy for everything. So everything in the game, you can either make things super hard or super easy, you know, or just find that sweet spot somewhere in the middle. What we see with the sliders from our best players in the office is that they do a lot of surprising things. You would think it's just crank everything up, but that's actually not the case. Like one of our players, Mikey and Travis, they like to slow down the projectiles, but then make them lethal. It really enhances that three-dimensional shmup, you know, that bullet hell experience. That is kind of what classic Doom is. Classic Doom is a three-dimensional bullet hell, you know, weaving between these slow-moving projectiles that hit really hard. And that's what creates the maze, and that's what promotes, encourages the player to move, is really the projectiles. And that's what we focused on, you know, for this game. So being able to adjust those things doesn't make the game, you know, super easy. It actually, I mean, it can make it super easy, but it can make it like super hard. It's like messing with an equalizer on a radio, you know what I mean? You just find what suits you best. And it adds, honestly, a lot of replayability to the game, because when you play it, each difficulty, like normal to ultraviolence and all that stuff, these sliders will be preset. And every time you go to the sliders, you'll see what ultraviolence is, because you'll see how the sliders change. So you could play through it like that. Somebody asked, oh, well, we wouldn't take the time to balance the game well, and we're going to leave it to the player. No, we're not going to leave anything to the player. We're going to make sure that it feels good, because most people won't actually go. I mean, how many of us just don't bother with the menus and play the game the way it is? You know, I do that sometimes. So we'll make sure that it feels really good on ultraviolence, normal, nightmare, all that stuff, and then we'll expose those sliders to you so you can make it the way you want, which is really cool. So no, the game is not easy. Don't say that. While I miss the old glory kill system, as those were a way to take a little breath from all the action in the game, I think the current system is a huge opportunity to have a greater effect in gameplay with the new 3 options. Yes, it is. Well, that's not really a question. That's just support. I like it. It is. It's all about player freedom, and there's more enemies on screen now than we've ever had before. If we're asking the player to stop and play a synced animation for every one of those, it was getting very, very tedious. And we wanted, in this game for you to be able to perform multi-glory kills. You know, that scene in the opening of 300, not the opening, but in the Hot Gates, the battle scene in 300, the Zack Snyder film, you know, when Leonidas breaks the phalanx, and it's just that beautiful side shot that tracks with Leonidas, and it goes into slow-mo as he's taking out all these guys in one fluid action, and he throws away the spear, and he picks up the Spartan sword, and he just starts wrecking people. That was a major touch point for us. We wanted to make you feel like that in this game. Doing multiple glory kills in succession was something we tried to do for like 10 years, and just didn't really fit in the other games. A lot of times you'd have multiple characters or two characters staggered right next to each other. You perform the one glory kill in 2016 or Eternal. By the time you turn to the other guy, he's already out of the stagger. And it also just kind of feels disjointed. So in this game, by unsyncing them, you know, they're more like executions. You know, you're able to just move from one guy to the next. So it is a system. People think it's just playing the same melee strike every time. There's a bucket of melee animations that we're pulling from. The ragdolls aren't just ragdolls. We're actually playing like falter, certain falter animations that then, you know, will transition into ragdolls. We really polish the physics system there. And then depending on the melee weapon that you have selected, sometimes it'll actually play an execution animation or glory kill animation using the melee weapon. So it's this, and it's also sensitive to the enemies that you're engaging with. So there's lots of things there. It is a true system to make sure that there's a good amount of variety. That's actually the point of this, is to avoid repetition, so you don't see the same kind of animation again and again. Even though we have all these different animations in the glory kills of 2016 and Eternal, they're directional. So you only see a different animation if you attack an enemy from a different angle. Actually, the majority of people who engage with glory kills are attacking the enemies from the front. So like 80–90% of the time, they're seeing the same animation. With this system, you can come at them in any direction. You're playing a different melee strike depending on the weapon you're holding, the enemy type, you know, which one the game pulls from. So it does help with repetition, which is really the main focus. Gives you more control. It feels more fluid. All the good things. We're not just look. Put it this way: if it didn't feel good, it wouldn't be in the game. There's no reason why we wouldn't do glory kills again. You know, we thought it was great, but really, it's about creating like a new experience for you guys. That's what's really important, right? We don't want us to just do the same thing again. So it is awesome. See, he didn't even ask me a question, and I gave like a massive answer. So there you go. It says, why are Doom Guy's eyes glowing yellow in Doom the Dark Ages? So at the start of our story, the Slayer has been subjugated, would be a good word, by the makers. You know, they blessed him with power in the divinity machine, but with that power came also a certain amount of control. And so that's what the yellow eyes represent. There is what we call a tether attached to the front of his suit of armor, and it is a maker design. It doesn't belong there. And that tether is causing his eyes to glow, indicating a certain amount of control. As we said, he is considered the super weapon of gods and kings at the start of our story. That's what the gold eyes represent. I hope whoever's behind the weapon designs for this game has a fat bonus waiting for them this year. Yes, I hope everybody on this game has a fat bonus waiting for them at the end of this year. You know, we worked really hard on this game, and I would agree. We take a lot of time, you know, iterating on these assets because they've got to be worthy of Doom. Like when you think about the original Doom, the sprites, the Pinky, I mean, these are some of the best, most iconic designs in the history of pop culture, and I don't think that's an exaggeration, from the Cacodemon to the Pinky. So when you sit down to design stuff for Doom, whether it's 2016 Eternal, Dark Ages, I mean, these are big shoes to fill. So we spend a lot of time, you know, working on them. We treat them like products. We want to make sure that industrial design, you know what I mean? Like really focus on the silhouettes, the colors, the breakups, the details. First, second read, third read details. We just want to make sure that these assets have personality and that they are worthy of being in a Doom game. So the fact that you guys like it means that we're doing our job. We love doing it. It's super fun, and we're just going to keep going with it. So thank you so much for that. The art team is very appreciative of your support.
All the power of hell, cowering before one.
That line is cold as F. Yes, it is. That is a line that is stated by the main villain of the game, Prince Azric. He's super cool. That's kind of, something that he says very early in the game, and he's not too thrilled about that. That's basically kind of, he's what pushes the story forward because he's tired of all of hell cowering before one man. And you kind of pick up that he's a little bit jealous of the kind of power that the Slayer wields over the demons because the demons follow the one that they fear, The Slayer is the one they fear the most. I think there's a little bit of envy there on Azric's part. And that might be what the whole story is all about. So you should just tune in. It's really good. That's the kind of game we need right now. That's the kind of game gamers want. That's the experience we are all looking for. Doom: The Dark Ages looks based AF. I agree. The way that we make games, we just make the kind of game that we would like to play. I think the world needs a good, meaty, awesome, super polished, premium, single-player FPS game. I think that sounds awesome. That's what I would like to play, and we are honored to be able to make that game for you.
An interesting topic of Doom is how many unique skins are available through special promotions. Whether it's the Verdant skin from the NVIDIA app, the Ranger skin from Prince Street Pizza, or exclusive unlocks like Void pre-order, Divinity Premium Edition, Guardian Twitch Drop, Executioner Xbox Controller, Legionary GPU Bundle, or the new Butcher skin via your Bethesda account. There's a ton to collect. What's awesome is how the Doom community collaborated to help each other unlock everything. People are trading info, sharing codes, and making sure nobody misses out. It's genuinely wholesome for a game so brutal. On top of that, Doom now has 2 limited edition Xbox controllers and even a full Xbox Series X console cover themed after the Dark Ages. Bethesda also collaborated with Prince Street Pizza in the US and a burger place in the UK, which is wild and kind of awesome. And if you're a collector, the collector's edition includes a badass statue that's already become one of the most sought-after Doom collectibles ever. There's so much extra content and cool stuff, it really feels like a celebration of the franchise. The Dark Ages is shaping up to be one of the boldest entries in the franchise. It's not cheap, and with all the special editions, skins, and bundles, the price can stack up fast. But thanks to Microsoft, we'll be able to dive into the chaos day one through Xbox Game Pass, which is honestly a huge win for players. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe for more gaming content, news, and deep dives. And let me know in the comments, what's your favorite thing about the Dark Ages so far? For me, it's definitely the Slayer's new look and shield. It's pure metal. See you in the next one. Rip and tear until it is done.